the BRANE Show, coming in hot every week. We bring the truth when we speak. Red, white, and blue, the bulls stand tall. We the people, united won't fall. We the people as our beat and rhyme. We're dropping old school values every time. Extreme honesty with a fresh twist. Breaking it down, you don't wanna miss. It's freedom talk, loud and proud. Voice of the people, can't be cowed. Every week, we speak our mind. For love of country, it's one of a kind. So grab a seat, let the BRANE Show roll. We're serving up truth, heart and soul. Brian and Shane, with that patriot steel. For the people, by the people, of the people, let's go. It's the BRANE Show, coming in hot every week. We bring the truth when we speak. Red, white, and blue, the bulls stand tall.
Oh, yeah.
We the people, united won't fall. It's the BRANE Show.
Shane, I'm wearing my glasses today.
We bring the truth when we speak.
I'm going with the cool look because my eyes are swollen from working on my video.
It's the BRANE Show, coming in hot every week.
Well, you shouldn't have said that. It would have been sweet.
Red, white, and blue, the bulls stand tall. We the people, united won't fall. It's the BRANE Show, coming in hot every week. We bring the truth when we speak. Red, white, and blue, the bulls stand tall. We the people, united won't fall. It's the BRANE Show, coming in hot every week. We bring the truth when we speak. Red, white, and blue, the bulls stand tall. We the people, united won't fall. It's the BRANE Show, coming in hot every week. We bring the truth when we speak. Red, white, and blue, the bulls stand tall. We the people, united won't fall.
This is for America!
Shut the fuck up!
Yep. I love how the Statue of Liberty has cleavage.
Yeah, that's kind.
You know what the problem with Hollywood is? They make shit unbelievable, unremarkable shit.
To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair.
Will you fight? No! We will run! And we will live!
Shame on you. This could be the greatest night of our lives. But you're gonna let it be the worst.
And I guarantee a week won't go by in your life you won't regret walking out, letting them get the best of you.
Well, I'm not going home.
Day may come when the courage of men fails, but it is not this day.
The line must be drawn here. This far, no farther.
I'm not saying it's gonna be easy.
You're gonna work harder than you ever worked before.
I really do believe that together we can accomplish anything.
Because we'll never stop learning and we'll never stop growing.
Failure is not an option.
That's how winning is done.
Believe me when I say
We can break this army here. It has made us brothers. I say to you, what every warrior has known since the beginning of time. You've got to get mad.
I mean plumb mad dog mean.
If you would be free men, then you must
Fight to fulfill that promise. Let us
cut out their living guts.
1 inch at a time.
And they will know what we can do!
Let no man forget how menacing we are. We are lions.
This is your time.
Seize the day.
Never surrender.
Victory or death.
So come on then! Take it!
This is where we hold them. This is where we fight.
All right, let's fly! My name is the Lord. When I
Tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take
our Independence Day.
You, the people, have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world.
We don't sleep to dream, we sleep to build stamina. Energy to do our thing, get your camera. This show is about to begin, so sit down and buckle it in. Let's go! Let's go! Yeah! My name is Brian, that is Shane. You are watching The BRANE Show. What's happening, everyone? I'm so glad to be here today, hanging out with y'all and Shane. How you doing today, bro?
Good. Look, let me get a little sip of this.
Oh my God, you have a larger vase.
What? What are you talking about?
It's bigger than last week, dude. This is ridiculous.
I just can't get big enough water cups, bro.
Apparently not, bro. Apparently
I'm doing
not.
good. I'm doing good. Listen, I did a wedding before coming here today. I mean, the morning has been so busy, and I'm excited and ready to talk with all you guys today. Thank you. We got a great live chat happening here today. It's active and fun.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
My favorite kind of live chat, the active, fun kind, right? Oh, I need to put my head on.
Yeah, when no one's talking, it's really boring.
There we go.
Oh, your hair look great, bro.
I know, but this is my state. It's like sort of like Tim Pool has this dumb beanie because he's bald.
Got it. Yeah.
This is my beanie. So
all right.
At
least you look good.
Yeah, that's the truth. I ask you a question, Shane. I'm gonna turn this volume up on this back end. Can you hear it?
As Republicans are charging ahead of...
Good, okay. For a minute there, I was like, I'm not sure if these tech issues have infected the rest of the stream. All right, let me fix this camera.
You know what doesn't make any sense is that every week there seems to be something different that just breaks, and yet nothing has changed, so I'm always confused.
Well, here's the problem. We don't use, unlike all the other cool streamers, we don't use StreamYards. Everyone else is like, listen, guys, just... pay for the service and use the software that everyone else uses that sort of like mitigates all these issues and problems. And Shane and I are like, nah, we're trailblazers.
We're just poor.
We're going to do it manual and really, we're poor and we like all the control we have over the look and feel of our show. And so I've opted to just deal with the stress. You know what I mean?
Yeah, why not? How are y'all doing out there today? Got some super chats already. God, loving you guys.
Already coming in hot, my boys. All right, let's address those. Then we'll talk about what we're talking about.
The vase.
What'd you say?
I'm excited about the vase. Thank you, Kevin.
Can we see how big that vase is one more time, please? That's ridiculous.
It's honestly, here's the problem.
Coming.
Everybody in my family is much smaller than me, and they buy these little tiny cups. And so one day my wife's like, has all these vases. We have too many of them. She's like, I'm just going to get rid of these. And I'm like, hold on a second. I got an idea, and I'm like, I'll just use them as my water cups. So this was a little intentional though. I don't always walk around with one of these. So
if you guys weren't here last week, we were in the middle of our show and Shane goes to take a drink out of his cup, and knowing the general size of Shane, and how he could stand in as a stunt double for the Mountain from Game of Thrones, I immediately was distracted by how large his vase was, because it was the size of a vase or a vase.
Which it was actually a vase.
And it was. So we decided on our store, we're going to add, we're going to put up a a BRANE Show mug, right?
Okay.
And on that product, and that's actually going live tonight at 9:00. I thought I set it for 9 a.m. today to go live. And I just realized now while we're doing the show that it was set for PMs. And anyways, at 9:00 tonight on mixtees.com, you can go buy our mug. And there's an 11-ounce option. There's a 15-ounce option. There's a 22-ounce option. But then there's an additional option that no one's ever seen before called the Shane size. And it's a whopping 64-ounce coffee mug.
Yes.
I didn't even know they existed. So I appreciate that.
I like the suggestions here. It'll just keep getting bigger. Every week I'll playing with like
next week it's a bucket. I want you to have a 5-gallon bucket.
The week after that, my wife's just pouring shit over my head.
Yeah. So speaking of, if you do want to support us, it's pretty simple. Go to mixtees.com or mxtz.co. Click on YouTube exclusives and scroll down to the BRANE Show. And that's where you'll find all the products we talk about today. Or you can just go to mxtz.co/brain. Or just what I said. And that's one way to support us. But you can also support us via memberships and super chats. Speaking of which, we have memberships and we have super chats out the gate. Coming in hot. Mexican Iron Man with a sticker of a #1 fan sticker. No message. Woo. He just took his nuts out and just dropped them on the desk and said, "What's up, guys? I'm here." Always good to see you, Mike. Thanks for watching, brother. Mexican Iron Man is an outstanding guy. If you guys are not following him, you'll probably see him on George the Giant Slayer. John Yulden also for $10 coming in hot. He says the intro rocks. Like and subscribe, everyone. And John Yulden is my newest brother from another mother. He's my UK bro. He lives over there across the pond, and we've been doing a Stargate watch along every Sunday, every single Sunday at 12:30 p.m. We are at the episode Hathor,
which is
season 1. I think it's season 1 episode. I want to say 10 or 11. I'm actually
okay. So it's still early enough to jump in.
Yeah. And the thing is, we've been wanting to get to this episode for a long time because it's the episode that is the most sexualized, and specifically, it sexualizes the Dr. Janet,
which was good at the time.
Very attractive woman. Well, additionally, the reason we started doing it was because his friend Gary had never seen Stargate. And we're like, Gary, you got to watch Stargate, bro. What are you doing? How have you never seen Stargate? It's ridiculous. So we decided to do this watch along, and the whole time he's like perving out over the Doctor, and we're like, just wait till you get to Hathor, bro. Wait. And so what we're gonna do is tomorrow when we do, we're gonna do a triple feature. I'm hoping I can get John to delay the show to 1:00 so we can do the triple feature because I'm gonna be late if we can't. And what we're going to do for that first episode, for the Hathor episode, we're just going to go full screen on Gary so everyone can see him drooling as we watch that episode. But it's great. We're watching every episode. You watch along with us in Discord. We stream it for free, or you can just, copy the time code and follow along and listen to our commentary as we just bro out. We just bro down on Stargate. It's great.
Having a bro down. All right.
My wife was like, hey, why are you busy every Sunday? I'm like, oh, I'm working. She's like, she goes, I'm sorry, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm working. I'm doing the stream. She goes, it just sounds to me like you're just watching Stargate SG-1 with your friends. I'm like,
no, babe.
No, of course not. But no, it's a job. It's part of the job. She goes, huh? Okay,
justified.
I'm just hoping she never finds the stream. All right, John Burns for 9 months. Be sure to watch that with us tomorrow. Check our Twitter, and you can find our Twitter at what's it called? At Brain. I always forget.
At Brain Show.
At Brain Show. I'll show you, I guess. At Brain Show on Twitter. I will put the post. I'll put a post up tomorrow.
No, wait.
What I do is I retweet whatever John.
It's at The Brain Show.
No, it's at Brain Show. Look.
Oh, you're right. Never mind. Why does it say at the? Oh, that's YouTube.com. Never mind.
Yeah. If you want to know the link to that, the link does change, but it's on John's channel, and I will repost whatever he posts. Also from John Burns, member for 9 months, and I'm going to talk to you guys about the memberships right now. It's pretty important. But John says, excited about this stream because we're going to be talking about a political bill being passed. Yes, it sounds really boring. But this bill, if bills had tiers, like if political bills had tiers, this would be S tier. This would be the top of the pile. This would be the final boss of bills, in my opinion. And we're going to get into why that is. It's going to affect a lot of people worldwide.
And the reason we're going to explain it is because the talking points are really, I guess they're really like, there's a lot of lying happening. I know there's a lot of lying typically in politics, but we just want to, we want to clear the room and actually give you the facts. So that way, if you care about the American economy over the next, 10 years, you're going to want to hear this.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Lord Todd says Hathor is season 1, episode 13. Thank you. I completely forgot. You're right. It's episode 13.
Thank you, John. And real quick, John Yolden, we missed this one. Blimey, Shane, when you fill that thing, do you have to pick people out of it? Yes. Fee, fi, fo, fum.
I smell the blood of an English one, speaking of John Yolden.
Right. That's what I said, blame.
And it is 12:30 Pacific time tomorrow, guys. Thank you, John Burns, for helping me specify that. It's actually going to be, I'm hoping if John agrees, it'll be 1:00 Pacific Standard Time. 1:00. I need extra half an hour to get home and get prepared for a triple feature so my wife doesn't leave me while I'm watching Stargate. Okay, guys. Yeah. So what are we talking about today, Zane? We are talking about
the member thing. Before we get into it.
Oh, the member thing.
The member thing.
That's right.
Yep.
So we are doing. So the memberships are really important to us. I'm gonna explain why. We don't make a lot of money on this channel. In fact, we make very little. But the memberships, in fact, I would say 90% of the money we make from the BRANE Show comes from either super chats or memberships, and most of that's memberships. So by becoming a member of this channel, you are effectively supporting us in this project of coming on every Saturday, doing the live stream, doing the super chat, the member stream, and then doing breaking news throughout the week. And then even the stuff that Shane's been doing with trying to come on like every day. This week he couldn't because he's writing our next big project. But it's by supporting us in that way, you are effectively supporting the entire community here that either can't support or won't. And if the show continues to get supported and grow membership wise, then we'll be able to add more stuff. We'll be able to do more days. We'll be able to add more features, not just live streams, but actually like maybe make a website, maybe get a community going, stuff that usually costs money and time that right now we just don't have time for. What a lot of people don't know is I actually lost, Shane and I lost effectively our jobs about a month ago, and we're in the process of restructuring to get that job back. And without going into a lot of details, effectively I lost my job. So what we're doing is, effectively,
it's not good.
It's a lot more. Yeah, it's a lot more. There's a lot more detail to it. But effectively, I lost my job about a month ago. And so, yeah, it's given us more time for BRANE Show and YouTube and the podcast stuff. But in order to keep investing all that time into it, we do have to, we have to somehow get more support on those channels. And we're going to put the time in to foster that support for sure. So if you want to become a member, it will be amazing if you can throw a couple dollars at us every month and become a member. It'd be a huge help for the channel, and it will allow us to not worry about getting that next gig going. But we basically had a gig for about 15 years that just disintegrated about a month ago. So
fair enough.
All right. So, but you know what I see it as? I see it as good news, because the good news means now it's an opportunity for us to build the stuff we actually like doing. We like doing this. We like making videos. We like watching and commentating and theorizing and going deep dives into the stuff that we love. You know what we don't love? We don't like fiddling with spreadsheets and getting yelled at by customers for 12 hours a day. And you know what? If that is part of our life is over, then so fucking be it. Fine. Okay.
Well, you sound really brave now. You were crying earlier, but this is good. This is better.
Yeah. Yesterday was.
I like this.
Broke up about it yesterday. Shane had to encourage me bigly, because I was like, not in a good place. I was not in a good place.
Yeah. Hold me, bro. Hold me.
Yeah. Fook, how did you lose your own job from your own business? Well, our business is supported by, and I'm going to be as vague as possible. I don't want to get in trouble. Our business is supported by 3 major customers. And one of those major customers went bye-bye.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Effectively.
Everybody who runs a business these days, most people are responsible to a third party.
Right.
So you have to go through a third party basically to do anything these days. And so most of you guys who've been with us a long time, you know what that means. So essentially, we lost, I wouldn't say the entire business, but we've lost about 90% of it. So it's making it really hard to do things. But
our business is a 3 tripod business, and the oldest and most stable of those tripods disappeared.
Yeah. But hopefully we'll get it back.
Hopefully. And that is what it is. But yeah, Mixies ain't going nowhere. We're not going anywhere. But we are going to, get as much opportunity as we can and do as much work as hard as we can. And if that part of the business is gone, then it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. If anybody, therapists out there, professionals can help us, thank you.
Yesterday I was definitely in a bad place. I was like, I don't know, maybe we should just cancel the show. Hey, John Burns sent 1 BRANE gift shop. Thank you for gifting a membership. Someone will see the value of that. I appreciate it, guys. You can't afford 10 memberships. That's no problem, bro.
Yeah.
No problem. And this is not a crying for support. I'm saying if you have been on the fence of supporting us, consider we were going to go full tilt and give as much as we can. So please consider it.
Wait, hold on. No, I was crying for support. I just want to be
No.
But listen, you support us by being here. That's good enough.
Yeah, that's true too. Just sharing the stream out. Okay, speaking of which, so we're talking about the big beautiful bill. That's the first thing we're talking about today. It's on the thumbnail. That's also the most interesting thing. But we're also talking about Mission Impossible, the Golden Dome, South African farmers, nuclear energy coming back into the zeitgeist, I guess. I don't know. Nuclear energy is a weird thing where it should never have gone anywhere. It was just a bunch of ill-informed people.
Yes.
And of course, it was fear. Yeah. It was fear. And I think Hollywood probably, the Godzilla movies were like, whoa, hold up on the nuclear power plant. We don't want any gigantic lizards destroying New York.
Yeah. And just when it was like getting better, Fukushima kind of, never mind. We'll talk about it.
Yeah. So, that's the topics today. And of course, we're going to be talking to you guys. And then after today's show, we're going to do another private show where we just hang out and chat for the members. That's it, man. And don't expect too much next week during the week because we're in the process of finalizing a pretty big video for our main channel. And I was literally up for like 12 hours editing last night, and I got into this weird zone. I'm not sure if you've ever worked on a project and all of a sudden you hit like this vein of inspiration, and
I call that vein of inspiration is called methamphetamines. But yes, absolutely.
Okay, no. Just to be clear, I saw some of the comments. No, I don't do meth. Okay, the only stimulants I use are coffee and pure, uncut testosterone.
Amen.
That's it. No drugs here. I'm not a drug guy. I never have been a drug guy. But if I was a drug guy, it would probably be cocaine.
Fair enough.
No, but I got into this vein of inspiration. I call it the vein of inspiration because, like, if you're mining a mineral like gold or whatever, when you find a vein, you don't want to go and take a break. Like, I found a great vein of this precious, metal. You don't want to go and tackle it tomorrow after you've taken a nap. No, you gotta follow that vein and just start mining. And so last night, I'm doing a section of the video, and I just I hit this vein of inspiration. I start mining and mining, and the only reason I stopped, frankly speaking, was I went to go render a bunch of stuff, and my computer said, "This is going to take 4.5 hours." I'm like, all right, I'm taking a nap. Taking a nap. I can't wait for 4.5 hours. Oh man. Hey, George Mage Frey just became a member. That's weird. I thought you were already a member. Oh, you're a member of the Popcast. That's right. Okay, so what do you want us to let's tackle this big beautiful bill, Shane. What's in it, Bill?
All right, sounds good. Sounds great. You want me to take on?
Yeah, break it down. I have a lot of thoughts on this. I've actually written notes, but you are the once again, for everyone that thinks I'm an expert in politics, I am not. I know a lot about pop culture, and I know a little about a lot of politics. I know I'm the normie here. Shane's the well-versed one. But for this particular bill, I did read the entire thing, and I did try to see how it would affect regular people. And so I wrote some notes on that.
That's cool. I mean, listen, we don't want to bore you with this topic if you're not interested in it. But the reality is that our country, the United States of America, and I know some of you guys are watching from away, maybe this will give you a perspective. Our country is going into debt so badly. Our debt is growing so much that we're going to get to a point where it's going to be irrecoverable. And so you're going to hear a lot of talk about, one of the big reasons why, one part of our country is no longer pushing for, taking care of the globe, America first. You're going to hear America first, America first, America first. And the reason why is, we've become so poor, over time not poor, but so far in debt by trying to take care of everybody that there's this internal focus to try to take care of us. Well, the problem is in this big, beautiful bill, and this is the way Trump works. I personally think you should pass little bills. A bunch of little bills, to me, is better.
Right.
But Trump knows he's going to get more of what he wants if he can pass it in one big bill. They don't have a lot of time. Right now, the Republicans have Congress, and they have Congress completely. Their House Representatives and the Senate together. So they know now is the time to pass the things that they want to pass.
Right.
Okay. So this bill, there's a lot of lying going on. And I know there's always a lot of lying in politics about how things work. But specifically, the talking points on the left are that this is a bill that's cutting taxes for the rich, and it's taking money from the poor, and like 13 million people are going to be off of their insurance, and they're taking every negative aspect of this, and they're kind of flipping it. Okay, so and on the left, what they're saying is they are basically going to or the right is saying they're going to basically refix America. Everything in this bill is basically going to solve, most of our
solve
problems.
all of our problems, right?
And so there's rhetoric on both sides. The truth of the reality is that what this is doing is, when Trump was in office last time in 2017, they passed a bill that brought down taxes for everybody, actually. And so everybody got a tax break. What this bill does is it makes those permanent. So when they did that originally, it was temporary. Only it was supposed to end this year. They wanted to make it permanent. So when people on the left say this is a tax cut for the rich, the reality is this has been the tax bracket for the last 8 years. They're not cutting taxes for the rich. You're going to hear that all over the place. Now, it will maintain a lower tax rate from the rich than a lot of people on the left want. Currently, right now, people who pay over $450,000, or people who make over $450,000 a year, they pay a third of their income in taxes, and they don't get the big returns. Anybody who makes under $100,000 a year, they get most of their money back, especially if they got kids. Okay. Right. They get most of it back in a return, but people who make over that, so they're giving up a third of their pay. And granted, listen, they're rich. And I know a lot of people are like, well, screw rich people. But everybody has a different philosophy. And I kind of think if you earned it, if you made it, then you should get to keep as much of it as you can. Right.
Yeah. This is not just about rich people, though. Like, what about the SALT deduction cap? That affects me. That affects you. We're not wealthy people.
I really have looked a lot into this. So like the SALT deduction cap, for example, what Brian's talking about is you can basically write off taxes in your states. So if you pay state taxes, you can write those off, or county taxes, you can write them off on your federal taxes. Well, in order to pass the Trump bill in 2017, which lowered taxes for everybody, they also lowered the SALT tax, the amount you could deduct, down to $10,000.
Right.
So for example, my taxes on my house by themselves are $13,000 a year. So I wasn't even able to write off all of the taxes on my home that I pay on federal income taxes. So one of the big arguments, and the reason why the bill didn't pass initially, and they won't tell you this, is that some Republicans were pissed because they had promised people they're going to raise that SALT so you could write off more money. So it's being actually raised all the way up to either $30,000 or $40,000.
$40,000. Yeah.
Which will make it so you can pretty much write off any state tax that you're paying in your federal tax. So which is the right thing to do, because you're already being taxed. You don't want to be taxed twice.
Yeah, you shouldn't be. Yeah, double taxation. What's that about? No way.
Right. And listen, I understand why poor people don't like rich people. Okay, rich people have a bunch of money. Poor people don't. And a lot of rich people, they just got it handed down to them from generation after generation.
Right.
But there's also a lot of rich people. Okay, I would say there are just as many rich people that work their asses off to earn their money, to build a business or to create a life that didn't come from money, that people that have money. So we can't punish everybody just because, some of them got a silver spoon in their mouth, because there's a lot of people working their asses off out there.
Well, there's a lot of people that some would consider rich that aren't actually rich. They work their butts off. They move $1 million through their business and through their various efforts, but they are cash poor. They are still struggling. Small businesses and even medium-sized businesses, some people would consider them wealthy because they have all these quote-unquote assets. But all those assets are tied to something. They're all being paid for. They're all financed. They're all whatever. Like, this bill will also help those people. People that some may see someone as rich doesn't mean they are. What's funny is I have a friend of mine who is not married, doesn't have kids. He lives out of his like an RV that he built. and he works like 4 months a year, and he loves his life. His life is very low effort. He works 4 months a year harvesting a very particular plant, and he makes enough money to live comfortably. Well, I remember I was talking to him last week about this bill, and he goes, "Hey, this is really going to affect you, huh? Because like you're in that tax bracket." I'm like, "What are you talking about? You have more money than I do." Like you see me as like, "Oh, I live in a decent house, and I have a couple cars, and I have kids, and I have a business, and I have a warehouse." I'm flat broke almost all the time, no matter how much I work. I was like, "Dude, you work 4 months a year and have more money in your bank account than I do on a regular basis." So,
well, and that's because, so what most people don't understand about business, and some of you guys are business people, so you get it. You might have $1 million come through your business. You might have $1 million come through your business, but even though you sold $1 million worth of product, you had to spend $900,000 to create the product that you are now selling to get the $100,000. Most people don't understand that. Now, luckily, taxes understand that. You can write that kind of stuff off. But just real quick, going through this bill. So the one thing is rich people being taxed. Okay, taxes aren't changing. The Democrats keep saying taxes, it's a tax cut for the rich. It's not. We're maintaining the same tax. Now, in order for them to do that, they did have to cut other things.
Right.
So what they did is they went after Medicaid, okay, and a lot of and some of the SNAP programs, the government-funded programs that help poor people. Okay, now what the left is saying, oh my God, they're attacking poor people. They're taking, their children are going to go hungry, and but what they're trying to do is make it more responsible. Right now, the Medicare program and the government federal funding that goes to people in states who are needy, a lot of people are cheating on that. Why? Because they can. And that's what human beings do. When they can get away with something, we learned as children.
They will. And I have a personal anecdote about that. Real quick, though, can I give a general overview of the bill in 5 easy steps? And you can tell me if I'm wrong.
No, I love to hear it.
All right. First off, the big, beautiful bill, which I think Trump literally called it that for marketing purposes, I think.
Of course.
It passed with a very narrow vote, 215 to 214, which means
only in the House of Representatives.
Right.
It's not done bill yet.
It's not done yet. Yeah. But this is the first step, which is a very hard. Well, it's the second step technically, but it's
the hardest step.
It's the hardest step. So the odds of it going through are pretty high. Media and critics, like Shane was saying, claim the bill. Literally claim this. I want you to know this. Leftist rags are claiming the bill will physically kill people because of its slashes to Medicaid, which is insane, by the way. It's not true. Like we said earlier, the bill did raise the SALT deduction cap to $40,000, which was long overdue. And it phases out tax credits for low carbon electric production. Can I actually rephrase that? It phases out tax credit loopholes for grifters that don't actually help the environment.
Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah. Meaning like people who run, solar farms or wind farms, that it isn't actually doing anything and they're getting, credit for it.
Bro, listen, watch The Landman on Paramount, and it's never been explained easier than when Billy Bob Thornton explains why the hell oil companies have wind turbines. Because the government gives them money to basically power their own oil plants. So when you see those, not all the time, but sometimes when you see a field of these wind turbines up there, wind energy producers, those wind turbines are actually powering pumps for oil companies. So the oil company will spend money on the wind turbine. They get the tax credits, right, from the government, and they get to power their own pumps that is effectively pumping oil out of the ground. It's a double dip thing. And there's a moment in that show where he explains, he goes, someone goes, well, isn't that a good thing? He goes, environmentally? Absolutely not. These things don't pay for themselves environmentally. The cost of putting the actual turbine up, creating the turbine, mixing the concrete, just putting the thing up, is more than it will ever offset in carbon credits over a period of 10 years before it has to be torn down and restructured. These things are not net zero. They actually cost more carbon wise than they effectively produce in energy. And people will not tell you that. Even more surprisingly, that most of these things are not used to power homes, but they're used to power other energy production outputs.
That's true. Well, it's great. The idea is great. Like renewable energy is a fantastic idea. It's an obvious thought of where to go, for clean energy, right? Which we're going to talk about clean. So hold on to that. We're going to talk about clean energy later.
Yeah, all these renewable energy sources are not actually renewable, though. You think they are, but they all have to be maintained and replaced. Right. The idea is good.
Right. You have no idea how big these things are, by the way. One blade on one of those things is longer than 2 tractor trailers.
Yeah.
So I've seen them on the side of the road. I'm pretty freaked out.
And they cost in oil production and actual hard cost. They cost a ton of money and a ton of credit.
Down, if you can keep laying out the bills so we can keep going here.
Okay, sorry. Number 5, and this is an important part. It reimburses states for money spent on border security under the previous administration.
Okay.
As far as Medicaid goes, the bill imposes work requirements beginning in 2026, so next year.
So that's important.
That's very important. You want to get into that? You want me to keep going?
What they're doing?
What's that?
That's what I was going into when you.
Okay, so let's stop here before. Well, okay, so I'll add to that. It's work requirements only apply to able-bodied childless adults ages 19 to 64. Yes. The media is not telling you that. The media is telling you, oh, well, in order to get their benefits, now they have to have a job. Yes, if they're not disabled, as in able-bodied, they have no children, and they're aged 19 to 64, which is crazy. Once you add in those details, it's so unreasonable to criticize that. You're telling me that there are wide swaths of people who are able-bodied, don't have children, and just refuse to work?
Well, I mean, that's the way it's been set up for years. It's been done intentionally. 1.5 million illegal immigrants are using Medicaid. 1.5 illegal immigrants who aren't even citizens of the country. So there's problems. And over a million.
Go ahead.
Well, over 1 million people are using it fraudulently from 2 different states to double dip.
Yes. Yeah.
So they're claiming it in, say California and Nevada, and they're double dipping.
Was it Schumer or one of the politicians was like, this is ludicrous. Federal funds are not being used. Medicaid is not being used on illegal immigrants. He tried to do this thing where he's like, just because it's illegal, it's illegal. So obviously it's not happening. I'm like, then why are you so adverse to passing this bill?
Well, yeah. I mean, they're going to not want to pass the bill anyways. I mean, that's the one thing I hate about politics is it doesn't matter what's in the bill. The Republicans want to pass it, so they're not going to. And it's vice versa. When they're in, the Republicans all vote no.
Right.
It's silliness. There are things in this bill that are also not great, like, or the things that hills they shouldn't die on. For example, silencers. Okay. There's been a tax on silencers on guns for 100 years.
Right.
Okay. A tax, 100% tax. So if you go buy a silencer, and let's say that silencer costs $200, you're actually going to pay $400.
Right.
So one of the Republican representatives who happens to own a gun shop on the side, put this into the bill. And like how many people are out there buying silencers? And by the way, I think that if you buy a silencer and you want to go out and shoot guns so that you don't have to wear earmuffs and your ears don't hurt when you're shooting guns, I guess that's your thing. Go ahead. And I don't think you should pay more of a tax than anything else. Just like I don't think you should extra tax cigarettes or extra tax soda because it's not good for people. It's silly. If criminals want to buy silencers, I promise you they're going to pay the extra $200 to get a silencer to go do something bad. The tax is not standing in the way of people doing bad things.
Yeah, it's not. Anyway, but also, gun enthusiasts are not going to use a silencer for target practice, Shane, because it throws
they will.
Dude, it throws the accuracy off by like 13%, 13 to 25%.
There are some people who like to not have to wear hearing protection when they shoot. So that is true. It is a true thing. But the whole point is, like, it's not a hill to die on. Like, you shouldn't have put it in this bill. You're giving people on the left ammunition.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Pointless.
If I was sitting there building this bill with my team and I was, I would have been like, hey, guys.
Hold off on the silencer.
Yeah, hold off on the silencer thing. Like, there's I don't think we need this in here. Let's focus on the stuff that matters.
Right. So, but the bill went through the House of Representatives. Anyways, I just want to clear it up because there are things on both sides, and I think the Republicans are doing a terrible job of selling their bill. Okay, because the biggest complaint, you can talk about the Medicare cuts and all that stuff, something had to be cut, and they figured they'd go after fraud, waste, and abuse. Now, what's the reality? Anytime the government does something, they're going to cut this program. And I can tell you right now, some people who need the benefit are probably going to get cut from the benefit. It's going to happen because government is shitty. They're not efficient and they're terrible at doing everything correctly.
Can I ask you a question though on that?
Go ahead.
Because what you just said is exactly what I've heard from the left. People that need the benefit are going to get cut. But if you look now, so I got to ask you a question. Assuming that the government, and this is a hard assumption that the government's going to be inefficient in its process of eliminating or approving people for this service. But assuming that's the case, the only people that would lose it are people that are able-bodied, childless adults, right, under 64, and they must, and those people to benefit must at least work 80 hours per month, and or engage in school or community service. So whether you're working a very part-time job, you can, if you're able-bodied, childless, and an adult, and you need the service, all you have to have is a part-time job, or go to school, or volunteer in community service, like at a church or whatever. Okay, so if that's the case, and full-time students and volunteers can still qualify, then who would need this that couldn't get it?
What I'm saying is mistakes are going to be made.
Well, but put government mistakes aside.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, though.
So you're only talking about government mistakes. But
I'm just talking about government mistakes. The right people, if they handle this correctly, everybody who should have Medicaid will still have Medicaid and SNAP benefits, and those who shouldn't be on them won't. I mean, it's just that simple. And if you go through the bill, which I have, it is very careful to make sure that people aren't left behind who really need this. The problem is going to be at the state level where it needs to be enforced, and if people are doing their jobs properly. So it's going to be hard at first. Like, some people are going to get kicked off the benefit.
Right.
Okay. And wrongly, they shouldn't have got kicked off the benefit. Okay. And then they're going to have to go back and say, well, wait a sec, you guys are making a mistake here. And they're going to have to show proof and blah, 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 and go through the whole process. And we're initially, if this bill gets passed, we're going to initially hear about all these poor people who no longer have health care and everything's all screwed up. It's exactly the narrative we're going to hear. Just be prepared for it. It's going to take 3 to 6 months in order to get it straight so that everybody who should be on it is on it. We cannot have people who are layabouts who found a way around the system to keep collecting money. I grew up with somebody who's been on who went on workman's comp when they were like 25 years old because they knew somebody or they were able to get through the system, and they've been on it for 30 years, bro. And they're just taking free money from the government. That's all they're doing. So, I mean, who wouldn't? They could.
So there's
the Republicans trying to fix it.
Can I say there's also the flip side of this, and this is actually pretty close to home for me. There are people that aren't approved for any kind of support or benefits or anything because they actually work, because they're married, because they're trying to better their lives and build an actual future. Those people are often completely denied, or even worse, ignored, because that's very frustrating as someone who's been on that side of it. Mm-hmm. Because they're not completely devoid of job, because they're trying to go to school, or because they're working a gig, and they need support because maybe they have a disabled daughter. Maybe that disabled daughter requires medication that just doubled in price because the dose doubled because of her age. You know, she has schooling things and tutors and things that cost more money than that person can afford. And they request some basic school support from the state for a disabled child, and that person would be denied because both parents are married and working a job.
Yeah.
Now, those people are often denied, while the neighbor to those people, okay, have 6 people living in their house, 4 kids, their non-working husband from Mexico, and their sister-in-law. And each one of those adults are collecting $1,000 in SNAP benefits, a bunch of cash, SSI cash benefits, and even worse, they brag about it to the same neighbor who has 2 jobs, a disabled kid, and he's just trying to get a tutor for his kid. That is my experience for years.
True.
For years.
By the way, it's not going to change because of this bill. So,
well, I think that if there's less people who can play the system, perhaps the people that fall into the correct categories can get more attention.
Yeah, more people will get attention, but the problem is going to be exactly what you said. The people who need the support but also want to work. Okay, you can get it temporarily, and by the way, if you're a guy, you can't. Done. Period. Okay, if you're a dude, if you're not, if you can work at all, you are not going to get any benefits. Okay, but the problem is that they need to reward people who want to go to work more instead of these people that you're talking about. They just give up completely, and that's how the government takes care of them.
And that's always been the problem. We reward. It's a trap. It's like invisible handcuffs. We reward people that don't want to actually advance their station.
Right. And then there's not enough medical documentation or situational things put in place to accurately know whether these people are telling the truth. And so you end up losing a lot of money. So that is not fixed completely. This is a step in the right direction, but they really need to overhaul the entire, program completely. The way it works, the rule system, get people to want to go to work, let them keep making money for a while so that they see the benefit of working. It's going to be hard to get people off of the system completely. But anyways, that's the argument that the left is making why this is bad. It's basically tax people or rich people aren't paying enough in taxes. And here's the deal. They're paying the exact same amount what they were the last 8 years. And let me ask you a question. How much money do you want these people to pay? Should they pay half of their wages? Should they pay 60% of their income? How much should they pay? And it's hard to determine. How about this? How about the government spend less? That's what I think. Smaller government, right? Less taxes. We don't need so many programs.
Yeah, you're right. And when you're talking about government spending less, bro, since USAID shut down, all these very interesting, obvious fronts for this organization to just suck money out of the system have been going out of business. And there's entire groups on Facebook and Reddit now being created to show examples of things that are just all of a sudden they're out of business since the funding dried up. And you're talking about thousands of businesses. Our friend from Brent Desovic posted on Twitter, near him, there's a store called The Vacuum Store that had been in business for like 35 years.
Yeah.
And for no reason, apparently, last month, it just went out of business. And you got to ask yourself, what were they selling at the vacuum store? How were they in business for 35 years, but then all of a sudden just can't make enough money to survive? And the only real answer to a lot of these places is that the laundering of money from USAID and other government organizations have just stopped, Yeah. And this is that's what we're seeing now. But what about the stuff we're going to find out in 50 years or 100 or 60 years or whatever,
Well, no, that's the problem is that our entire system of government over the last 50 years has been built on people figuring out how to suck off of the government teat.
Right.
Okay, that is what we've built our system upon. The government takes care of way more people than you realize, not just poor people, but business owners, entire businesses.
There's entire businesses that were formed for the sole purpose
of sucking money from the government.
There's businesses that got a contract because they're they create a business, they're friends with some politician, they get a contract for an annual gig, and their entire business is based on doing this one job every year that they overcharge for. This is actually a super common thing, and we haven't even touched on that yet, but that's an extreme form of waste when you can award someone a perpetual contract and never shop it around. There's no room for competition. You just effectively hand that project a monopoly to someone's grandson because they're friends with a lobbyist. That makes no sense.
Right. And now let's talk about the biggest grievance of the whole thing. And that is that the left is telling the right, they're raising the deficit, they're raising our debt by up to $3 trillion over 10 years. Okay. And that was the big thing that I kept saying, I'm not hearing the right answer for this. I want to know, and I want to hear it from Republicans. I want to hear you defend the fact that, yes, spending is going up. And so this is the argument that they're making for this bill. All of the red tape that they're cutting, all of the reductions that they're making, and the plan that they have going forward, they believe will raise the gross domestic product of our country by 4%. And that growth of our country will cover the increase in what they're spending for this bill, that over time it ends up becoming a savings. So that's their claim. I don't know if that's what's going to happen. I know last time Trump was president, our economy grew pretty well. So if that's the case, then that would be a good thing. I would much rather see us trying to balance the budget now. And quite frankly, I'd be willing to, I think people that do make more money should be willing to pay a little more if we could, get closer to balancing the budget and getting rid of this debt.
Yeah, I mean, that's a dream that ain't gonna happen.
But we got to stop giving money away.
Can I ask you a question though? How is it? I think that there's a lot of dark money here that of course we can't put on. We can't add to the spreadsheet to see how much we're gonna save or spend. And speaking of that, 23% of Medicaid recipients right now are childless, able-bodied adults. 18 million people. Well, here's another one. An estimated 1.4 million undocumented immigrants have Medicaid access. So 18 million people that should not be getting these benefits are getting it. 23%. That's a big number. But more importantly is the 1.4 million people that aren't even documented that are getting benefits in some way from Medicaid. And then you look up all the people that are being supported that we can't even track. A lot of these numbers are not numbers you can put on a spreadsheet to accurately determine whether or not we're going to raise the deficit or increase our growth. And so, and I gotta ask the question: what does the critics have to say, and what would you say if you're playing devil's advocate, Shane?
Yeah.
How would you defend 23% of Medicaid's gigantic budget going to people that shouldn't be getting it?
Well, I really want to get reelected next time. And I know a whole bunch of those people are supported by other people who are going to vote for me. So if I take away that benefit, they aren't going to like me anymore and they're not going to vote me in. So I'm going to lose a bunch of money and I'm not going to be rich. And then I'm going to be just like them. There you go. That's my argument. Yeah, that's not a good argument because that's the reality.
That's the reality, right? And you have to look at this too. Federal funds being funneled to states to support their programs.
And then the states just not being efficient with that money and using it on California. I love this one's my favorite one. California Governor Gavin Newsom is out there bragging, oh, California's got the 4th largest GDP in the world. We're like a country, 4th, of the world, like against other countries. Yeah. California.
Sure.
So why are you begging for federal funds, jackass?
Non-stop.
Like, let me ask you, why are you, if we're 4th GDP, why do you need the federal government's money?
Yeah, because you know why? Because out of that 23% of people, I bet you 50% of those, that 23% are living here, and out of all the illegal immigrants, about 1 million of them at minimum are right here. We support more people that are undocumented than any other state in the entire country, and for some reason we continue to support it. And it's not just through Medicaid and SNAP. But we support them. They get rooms and board. They get all these weird benefits from coming into the country illegally, and I can never understand it because all it does is hurt the actual citizens that are paying into the system.
This is a great comment you just made. Okay, so California is next to New York and California, the most expensive states to live in. This state is incredibly expensive. One of the reasons why is we're paying for other people's stuff.
Right.
Okay, so they live here. But here's the thing. Okay, I was getting my car washed yesterday. Typically, I do it myself, but I hurt my back and I wasn't able to get down and do a bunch of stuff. So I went to one of those car washes where they do it for you. Okay, and so you send it through and then somebody kind of cleans the inside. Now, everyone working at this car wash, and I'm telling you, everyone, not one of them spoke English. They looked fresh off the boat, if you know what I'm saying. Okay, and they're over there working their asses off, cleaning these cars to make a $5 tip, okay, for cleaning inside of these cars. And I sit there and I think, and I look at them and I go, these people are just trying to fucking survive. They're just trying to make their life better and not one of us would say we wouldn't do the exact same damn thing. But the problem is that this country cannot hold the world's problems. This country cannot lift up everyone. And we get to a certain point where, listen, we are the most fortunate bastards ever born to be able to live in this country, to be born in this country, versus other people who can't. We're very fortunate. People don't appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I don't dislike or even blame any of these people for trying to come to make their life better.
Sure.
But our government can't cater to them to make their lives better because it drags down everyone. It's like being in the lifeboat, right? Somebody's dragging, only so many people fit in it, financially wise. We got room in the country for more people, no problem. But we can only fit so many people in, or it's going to drag everybody down. So that's why so many of us are against this. It's not these people. I cry for these people. It bothers me to see people anywhere struggle to go through this stuff.
Sure.
But we can't save everyone. It's a shame, but it's reality.
Yeah. Every time I watch one of those pet commercials on Channel 13, in the arms of an angel, right? For the first minute or so, I'm very sad for those poor pups.
Oh, where they want you to donate.
But then I quickly change the channel because it's not my problem.
And that's the other reality is, could we do more for the world? Yes. But does that mean that we need to, ruin our country in order to save the rest of the world? We can't.
Well, can I ask you a question? Shane, if you have a clean hand and a dirty hand.
Yes.
Can you get the clean hand of the dirty hand clean by rubbing them together?
The dirty hand gets completely cleaned by mushing up with that clean hand. No, I'm just kidding. The other way around. A clean hand always gets dirty.
Right.
Always.
Yeah, there's no way around that. That's the way it is. Okay, there's another thing about this. Real quick, the politician I was talking about earlier is Hakeem Jeffries.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, that idiot claimed that no illegals receive Medicaid. It's misleading. And you're like, you know what's misleading? Your statement, because there's state level kickbacks that determine that guarantee money is going to illegal aliens. Also on this bill, if we're done with the Medicaid portion, you want to get into the abortion stuff?
Well, that's like the egregious thing. Who wants to hear that kids are going to starve and the people are going to be kicked off their medical? I mean, we just the record needs to be set straight, that these are the people they're trying to get off: illegal immigrants, people cheating the system, people who shouldn't be on the system. That's it.
Yeah. Bottom line, guys, is if you have kids or you're elderly or disabled, if you're elderly, disabled, or parents with dependents, guess what? This doesn't affect you in any way. So it only affects able-bodied adults who refuse to work. And listen, let's say you don't want to work. Let's say you want to go to school. Guess what? You're covered. Doesn't affect you. Let's say you don't want to go to school or work. You want to go to church. Guess what? It doesn't affect you. Log in those part-time hours at the community center or at school.
I think it was pretty brilliant. Pretty brilliant idea to say, listen, if you can't work or don't want to work or whatever, let's say you got a kid and you can't make up the time, go volunteer at their preschool. Go volunteer at daycare, if you want.
Yeah, literally, guys, schools, churches, these places that you're going to take your kids anyways, they will easily write off your very limited time obligation to keep receiving benefits. But if you have kids, you don't even need to worry about that anyways. So I don't know. Maybe your aunt or uncle that is helping your neighbor. I don't know, but there's ways to go around this. It's just going to take a little bit of effort. People are like, "But no, you need them to check in twice a year." Twice a year? That you're worried about checking in twice a year, bro? If I get unemployment, I gotta check in weekly.
Every week.
Every week, and you're complaining about twice a year? Get out of here with that, dude.
There's a couple of other huge benefits that they're leaving off the table, and that is people are going to be able to write off their tips on taxes if they make under $140,000 a year. They get to write off their tips.
Oh my God! If you're making more than $140,000 a year in tips, then I'm doing the wrong job.
A great job. Let us know what you're doing.
Let us know what you're doing. We're gonna go do that, right?
Yeah. Also, the same for overtime. So if you make less than $140,000 a year, you can write off overtime. And let me tell you, overtime was a huge chunk. When I used to make overtime, they took almost half of my overtime paying taxes because it was overtime. It was crazy. Okay. The other thing is, if you buy a car made here in America, assembled here in America, you get to write off the taxes on that thing. So that's a
huge chunk of money. I don't know if you've ever bought a new car, but when you're looking at that sticker price and it's like $24,000, you're like, okay. And you do the math in your head, you're like $24,000, 5 years. He goes like $400 a month.
That was like 10 years ago, though, bro. But go ahead. Yeah.
Well, whatever.
Now it's 50 grand.
Sorry, I'm poor, Shane. I'm poor.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter. The cars are still expensive.
But you do in your head, you do the math. You're like, I can afford that per month, right? Whatever. Mm-hmm. And then you get to the very end. You're talking to the finance guy. He's running your credit. And like, okay, you're doing good. All right, we can afford this. So the final price is going to be, ready? On that $25,000 car? $38,000. You're like, where the hell did the other 12 grand come from, bro? Well, taxes, fees. You're like, I'm telling you, the taxes on these vehicles they're so insane that it completely shocks you when all of a sudden your monthly payment of $400 a month is now $700 a month.
Well, if you buy a $50,000 vehicle in California, you're going to pay $5,000 in taxes. That's it, $55,000. But now you'll be able to take that $5,000 and write it off on your income tax.
Right.
So, there's benefits here, and all of these benefits are for people in the middle class, lower class, middle class, bottom of the upper class is going to benefit all these people. So it's just not true when they say they're raising, lowering taxes for the rich, raising it on the poor. It's simply a lie. And while this bill is not perfect, and I think there's other places they can make cuts, and I think they could be more fiscally responsible, it's the best thing we've got for now. And if it comes true that in a few years we find that our GDP didn't go up enough, and this actually hurts us than helps us, then we need to make a very difficult decision. Okay, nobody's going to like to hear this. Okay, we are either going to have to raise taxes to pay our bills, or we're going to have to spend less fucking money. Okay.
And I don't understand the concept of not being able to spend less money.
Well, the problem is everybody's got a pet project. Everybody's got something that got them elected that they want the government to spend money on. Everybody, Republicans and Democrats. And so they don't want those programs to be cut because it affects them. Okay. And when you take things away from people, they get pissed. And guess what happens when they get pissed? They vote for the other person. So that's why government can't get smaller. And let me tell you something about Trump as well. He's not completely off the hook here. Okay. Don't for a second think that he does want to fix the country, but he also wants to have a fucking kick-ass legacy.
Right. Of course.
So he's got no problem with the debt going up for a couple of years if he gets everything he wants and America's happy and everybody thinks he's the greatest president that ever lived.
Sure.
But he will be judged if 10 years from now we look back and say, wow, he really fucked us with this thing. So
yeah, I don't think that's the case.
I'm just saying, playing both sides, being fair.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, but let's be fair. Like sometimes you have to spend money to make money. In fact, more often than not, you got to spend some money to make money.
I wouldn't say it's true of the government.
Or you have to risk some kind of early investment in order to shrink your overall debt,
Yeah, it's possible the system gets reset with these tariffs. Let's say the chip makers, the automakers, everybody comes back. Apple Apple has to sell iPhones here. And let's say everything's made in here and our country grows. It could be amazing, right? But here's the reality. We just don't know what's going to happen yet.
We don't.
It's all speculation. But let me tell you something. It's better to try something new than to do the same old fucking thing you've been doing for 50 years that just hasn't changed anything, hasn't fixed anything. So let's try something new. Let's see if it works. Get behind it and support it. And guess what? If that doesn't work, you can always go back to the old way. I'm just saying.
Well, here, speaking of saving money, let's try to quickly cover this portion of it because it's a big portion.
Sorry for all the F-bombs, guys. I just, anyways.
The abortion portion of the bill is a pretty big deal. The bill restricts federal payments to abortion providers like Planned Parenthood.
Let me be very clear on this, and I've tweeted this multiple times this week. The government should not be paying for your fucking mistake. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to take the F words out. Your government should not be paying for your mistakes. If you mistakenly had a child, the government should not pay for you to get rid of it, whether that's legal or illegal. The federal government should. If your state wants to do it, let the state do it. That's what it exists for. The federal government should not be paying money for things like this. They should not be doing Planned Parenthood. This is the problem.
Yeah, this is a no-brainer for me.
Money.
When I saw this, I was actually shocked to learn that the federal government is paying for this stuff. No wonder why Planned Parenthood is still in business. Planned Parenthood, who always says, we don't just do abortions, we do family counseling and mammograms, have actually reportedly never performed a single mammogram in the history of their business, even though they provide it. They never do because there's never a service available. And then on the family counseling portion of it, there's been multiple undercover investigations of people going in for family counseling, and the only advice that they give is to abort the child. So let's be clear here. Planned Parenthood is an abortion clinic that is LARPing as something more. And whether you agree with abortion or not is not the issue. The issue is that Planned Parenthood is one of those businesses that has gotten rich off of suckling from the government and leaning on your emotions. And it's wrong. So on top of that, though, exceptions to that abortion rule still apply for rape, incest, and the life or health of the mother. So it's not like it's completely heartless. There's still something there. But again, I was shocked to even know that we were paying for it in the first place.
I mean, the government just needs to be out of the business of this completely, And frankly speaking, if the government wanted to tax me to pay for our national defense, I'm down. And then cut everything else and let my state take care of it. If I got to pay a little more tax to my state to help fund the things that my state believes in, I'm okay with that. I can always move states if I don't like it.
Right.
Okay, but I can't move countries.
Can't move countries.
Right? But one more thing about this bill. I don't know if you want to go into more things, but there's something really great about this bill that nobody's talking about. And that is in this bill that when a child is born, somebody who's born in this country that's a
$1,000
citizen of this country, right? The government is going to open up an investing account with $1,000. And there was a little video I did a couple weeks ago that went into detail on this, but that's going to give kids when they turn 18 and get a little older, that's going to actually give them a start if their parents aren't able to. It's really a fantastic thing. And I don't want to go too deep into it, but that also on top of that, just through investing in companies and corporations in our country, the government is going to collect a huge tax out of that free money that's going to go back in the system. That's going to help pay for things. It's actually a really brilliant thing. I'm surprised Ted Cruz came up with it, but he did, and I really, really like it. I hope this thing gets passed for everyone. Yeah.
One more thing about the gender and abortion. The bill is also going to be banning Medicaid funding for gender transition treatments. Again, shocked to know that was happening in the first place. It seems like a no-brainer to me. Look, if you want to transition and you're an adult, I don't care. I have nothing against you. Do whatever you want. You want to cut things off, go be crazy.
But the government should not be paying.
But the government shouldn't be paying for it. It's insane to think that's an abnormal thing to do. Oh God. Oh my God.
Yeah, talk with your insurance company about it. Okay, you're paying for your You know, you're paying your monthly bill on that. You figure out whether or not they want to cover you. The government should not be paying for it.
One more thing about these politicians and these left-wing rags. They kept saying, they kept claiming that abortion wasn't federally funded. But again, just like with the Medicaid stuff, now they're upset that funding is being removed from Planned Parenthood. So stop. You can't say both statements. You can't be a living oxymoron every second of your life. You can't be mad that it's being removed and on the same breath saying it wasn't being funded in the first place. That makes no sense.
Yeah, I think they're not saying it wasn't funded. I think they just don't say anything when people bring that up. So you notice they get very quiet.
The politicians literally said, abortion is not federally funded, Like literally saying this is not happening. Medicaid is not being given to illegal immigrants. But then you look at the state level portion of it, and it is going to illegal immigrants. And maybe Planned Parenthood isn't an abortion clinic, but when 98% of what they do is abortion services, then it's effectively an abortion clinic. Just because you miscategorized it. What?
They do contraceptives for people. So they'll do that and, help girls get on the pill or provide contraceptives for safe sex.
Sure. I used to defend Planned Parenthood until I looked into it. And I realized that the person that set up Planned Parenthood, this is not a conspiracy theory. You look it up, you guys. Generally put Planned Parenthood centers in urban areas as a way to secretly perform what her version of eugenics would be against a very particular set of poor people. And the more you look into it, the more egregious that entire organization is, and you should be offended by ever knowing them. What else is all about? I'm sorry?
To each their own. Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's see. What else? Okay, here we go. Snap church. The Snap changes. Snap is like food stamps. Going to cut an estimated $67 billion over the next decade. Big deal. Fun fact: soda is the #1 most purchased item with SNAP benefits.
Not shocked.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing about SNAP is that, I see these signs up all over the place. We now accept SNAP. And I'm like, okay, let me ask you a question. If you're getting SNAP benefits, you can barely afford to pay for eating, right? So why are you taking your SNAP benefits to Taco Bell? Why is the gas station so that you buy little snacks in that cost 5 times as much as the grocery store to buy a candy bar? Why are you taking your SNAP benefits there? So the problem is when they say they're going to cut SNAP benefits, it's because people are not using them properly. You need to go to the store and buy shit to feed your family, not McDonald's that costs $50 for 4 people to eat at McDonald's. Take that $50 and go buy 3 nights worth of food. You know what I'm saying? What you can do if you're careful.
Yeah, and by the way, what did I tell you last week? I was like, Shane, I just went to the gas station to get gas, and I was thirsty, so I bought a Coke Zero. And I was shocked that my Coke Zero cost almost $5.
Right.
That exact convenience store also accepts SNAP. To think that someone with SNAP benefits are going to go in there and buy a single bottle of Coke for $5 when you can buy 2 cases of Coke for $13 at the grocery store is beyond ridiculous.
Well, when I brought up, how come restaurants can offer to accept SNAP benefits from people? You know what the argument was? The argument was, well, people who don't have money deserve to go out and have a good time too.
No,
they don't.
Yeah, that's not true.
That's the whole point.
It's not true.
If you need that support, you don't get to go have a good time.
No,
you got to reserve, be efficient with the money that you have. Sorry, that's the life that you have. Okay. And whether or not you selected it or you were thrust into it, if
bad luck
and hurting, if you're disabled and hurting, I don't know what to tell you. You're in a tough situation and life sucks. And that's difficult. And I am sorry for you. But most of the people who are on these benefits are just people who've had 6 or 7 kids and can't afford to feed them all. And those people should not be going to the restaurant.
Oh, and the amount of benefits is ludicrous. Like I said, I have a neighbor who every adult in her household is getting a SNAP. And you're talking about almost...
I'm not even sure how that's possible, because some of those people aren't even, they shouldn't be. So
what do you mean? Oh, because the address? Yeah, because they're not giving the correct address, Shane.
Well, I'm talking about the address. I'm talking about each individual shouldn't be getting SNAP if they're not, somehow they're messing with the system.
Yeah, they're lying to the system. But I know for a fact they're receiving a little over $2,500 in SNAP benefits. And listen, I'm only saying that because she's literally bragged to me about the amount of SNAP. She's offered, because she has so much SNAP, to give me double money for cash. Multiple times she goes, "Hey, listen, I'll sell you $200 in food stamps for $100 cash." Bro, listen,
because they want to use their SNAP benefit to pay their rent or do other things.
Right. I've considered it multiple times, but I'm so sickened by the thought I keep saying no. I wouldn't mind going to the grocery store with $200 for $100,
What else do we have on this? We've been talking.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap it up. Here's some quick notes. These are my opinions, so take them with a grain of salt. I think asking people to work part-time if they're able-bodied and childless for benefits is not remotely unreasonable. I think it's a totally reasonable thing. I think the idea that society owes benefits with zero expectations is both destructive and completely and totally unmanageable. You cannot build a future that way. Is the only reason you would do that is to invisibly chain these people to a system that you need to retain power. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
I think historically, this is the fact. Historically, Americans on aid contributed to their communities during tough times, which means that if you needed aid for a period of time, it was because you were contributing to the community, and that precise time in your life, you needed some extra benefits because of your contributions and because of what life was handing to you, because of children being born or losing your job or whatever. But these benefits should not be permanent staples in your life. It shouldn't be a guaranteed source of income in perpetuity. These should be temporary things to get you by so that you can continue advancing yourself in society and contributing to your community.
And so what's cool about this is that in this bill that just passed, the $1,000 invested by the government, if you let it sit there, by the time you're 18, you don't have to have kids so you can get on welfare. A lot of these young women have kids so they can get on welfare and get paid and help pay for the housing. Now they're going to have money to go to college, to start a career, to get out there and not be on it. I think this is a wonderful thing.
Yeah, I think overall the bill promotes personal responsibility and service to community, which is only a good thing.
Okay.
All right. That's it. Awesome. Obviously, we're a fan of the bill. So let us know what you think in the chat and in the comment section.
It could be better. Just saying. But it's as good as it's going to get.
Well, I mean, it can be better. Yeah, you're right. Like, I don't understand the whole silencer thing. There's things that don't make any sense that should have not have been in there for sure. But we've said that multiple times about multiple bills. So many bills have little earmarks with things that don't belong in the bill in the first place. All right, let's do super chats from John Burns. He says, Bill Burr, 22. 22 is best for home defense videos. Funny. Yes. That's the one where he also says that like everyone has the right to self-defense and defending their home, even if they're using a sword or whatever.
I love that.
It's true. It's very funny. By the way, that was before Bill Burr started acting like a complete cuck.
No, before his wife got to him, bro.
Is that what it was?
His wife got to, yeah.
Dude,
he married a black lady, and he just started changing. I don't know.
He was so based, and his opinions were so grounded in logic, and he was so funny, and then he just started to become so brainwashed by the left. It's crazy. It's actually depressing. I watched that movie Old Dads the other day. Thought it was hilarious. Yeah. Really enjoyed the shit out of it, but now knowing what I know about Bill, it doesn't work.
He was starting to change during that too.
He was, but you know, that was already written. So, John Burns again for $2. Thank you, John. He says, check out the Power Broker book.
Ooh, what is that?
It's called The Power Broker. It's a book. I will check it out.
I'm gonna look it up.
I'll check it out, my friend. Also from John Burns, Brian explaining his hatred for childless couples.
He hates them.
I don't hate anyone, bro. And if you don't want to have children, that's fine. I just think
just get your ass to work.
I just think you need to work. And you know what? If you don't want to work, go to school. If you don't want to work or go to school, do something that contributes in some way to something in your life or someone else's. Join a community. Do something helpful. You can't just play video games for 16 hours a day and hope the government pays for your food.
What if you don't like people, though?
Figure it out, dude. I mean, no one should be getting something for nothing. There needs minimal amount of effort here for you to get money from the government. Mexican Iron Man for $5. He goes, I don't appreciate you guys exposing my money laundering operations and the benefits to my migrant girlfriends are getting from the government.
Hey, your GTA Grand Theft Auto account doesn't count, Mexican Iron Man, okay? You can launder all the money you want in GTA. All good.
This is not a super chat, but I think it's worth pointing out. Sosa said, even the name Planned Parenthood sounds positive. It's very deceptive. It's true.
You got a plan to be a parent.
John says, as a Brit, a question for all my friends in the USA. A lot is talked about the deficit under Trump's first term, but does that take into account COVID? That was a good question I wanted to ask you, Shane.
As a Brit, question for all my friends.
Basically, he's saying the deficit that grew under Trump's first term, did that take into account COVID?
Yeah, so it does to some degree, but Trump overspent. Let's just be real fair. In his first term, he made the military bigger. He spent like a crazy person. He spent too much money in his first term.
Well, I think he didn't know that COVID was around the corner, and maybe that spending had a purpose until the entire country shut down.
Well, what I was going to say was COVID actually impacted the end of Trump's term, but more of Biden's term. Because what happened is when Biden became president, they're like, oh, let's turn these money printing machines on. Let's go. And started sending money. And as you guys have watched our show a long time, I got a kid who was, under the age of 18, working a job part-time. He got $10,000 during COVID from the government because his job said, I'm sorry, we're closed. Can't work here no more. He got 10 grand for doing nothing.
Bro,
I didn't get no damn money, but
you and I made mistakes.
Our own business.
I don't know why we didn't file for like the small business thing or whatever.
We couldn't because of the number of employees you have.
Damn it, bro.
So, which by the way is a good thing that we didn't, because one of the things in this bill that's about to pass is the IRS is going to be given 9 years to look specifically at those businesses who took the money for their employees, right? To pay their employees. A lot of those businesses did not pay their employees with that money. And the IRS is going to get 9 years to go and look at those businesses. So I got to tell you, I'm glad that we didn't get that.
I was going to say, dude, we could have signed up our kids to be employees, bro. I mean,
and I know people who did. And let me tell you what, I know a lot of people who didn't use that money properly and got it. And all I got to say is, woo, God help you. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Someone in the chat, before I forgot what it was, said, I have a neighbor or a uncle or something that doesn't work, but is always buying new cars. Listen, I knew a guy that started his business literally like a year before COVID happened, right? He actually moved into the shop next to us. It was that...
the one who lives there, yeah.
Persian guy. He was living there, yeah. He's not there anymore. There was a Persian guy. He started about a year before COVID. He was living in his shop and doing his like print business. And the guy never had any customers. Never had any deliveries. Tricked out space. And I remember him telling me, I was like, hey, how's the COVID? Is it helping you? Is it hurting your business? And he goes, no, man, I think I'm making more money because of COVID. And it was because this dude filed for like, all these benefits. And he started his business literally a year before COVID. Never made a penny, but then all of a sudden was rocking like $80,000 in gross income from the government.
Well, listen, all you had to do to get that was to say you had 100 employees. Somebody's got to go check. You would have gotten tens of thousands of dollars, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right.
But guess what? You in trouble now. Woo.
I'm glad we didn't do it then. Chappie sent a gift to the membership. Thank you, Chappie. And he also did his member chat here. I'm about 45 minutes behind. I'm catching up quick. I just wanted to say, pass the big, beautiful bill. Hell yeah, Chappie.
Get it passed.
Let's
it's the best option we got. It's the best option we got for now.
Anthony Mark said Margaret Sanger, he's referring to the founder of Planned Parenthood, is a known racist and eugenicist who literally put those facilities in places to help to promote black people from having children. That's not conspiracy theory. That's an actual fact. Look it up. And that's their legacy that they don't want you to know. And demonetized.
Well, I was going to say, look at where the Democrat Party came from. I mean, the one thing I'll say about legacy, yes, it's terrible. That might have been her thing. But I know you're not a fan of Planned Parenthood, and that's okay. But I would say that it could be a different thing now. That doesn't mean that the beliefs that they had then are the same beliefs they have now. So to be fair.
Sure. I used to defend them when I thought that it was all about Planned Parenthood.
Right.
Not
I'm just saying,
Planned Unparenthood.
The reason Margaret Sanger, the founder, did this does not mean that that's what Planned Parenthood thinks today.
Right. But that's true. But 94% of their services support and or perform abortions.
Because you don't need a service for going and having a kid. So you're right. And that's because the purpose of it is for people to go and get rid of their kid. That's why most people choose to do it. Now, if there was a need for you to go to Planned Parenthood because you're pregnant, the whole point of Planned Parenthood was to avoid pregnancy. And then it turned into let's help you get rid of your baby if you don't want it. So that's the reason why so it's almost a little disingenuous to say, well, that's their whole purpose, or that's what they're striving to do. There really is no other service they can provide.
I disagree.
I disagree. What is the other service they can provide?
Dude, a brand new mother who is pregnant, finds out she's pregnant. She goes, imagine going to a place where they can help you get your benefits, find your doctor, get the correct prenatal medication, help get you diapers or equipment.
I think they would. No, I do believe, I think they would do that. But the problem is nobody utilizes it for that. That's not what they go there for.
Because that's not what's promoted. Like when they do family counseling, every one of these investigative journalists that have gone undercover during these quote unquote family counseling had every single one of them, at least the ones that were released, has all reported them trying to convince them not to have the child, but to get rid of the kid.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They're going there for that purpose. So listen, I'm not trying to defend them. What I'm saying is when I was a teenager, I knew a girl who went there, who wanted to get down and have sex. Her parents wouldn't help her get on the pill. Planned Parenthood did. So I'm just saying, so I do believe the service that is for, what I'm saying? I can't afford an abortion. Can you help me? Yes. You know what I mean? I can't afford to get, I'm pregnant and I don't know what to do. Maybe they help them. But you're right. I think most of their customers were people looking to get rid of their kid, especially during a time when it was not very easy to do so. So that's probably why they ended up that way. And I'm not saying they're not a nefarious organization. I definitely don't want the federal government paying for it. But I'm just careful not to say, Democrats, they really, really believed in slavery, man. They really, really did. Okay. But, that's not who they are today. Although I will say they're probably keeping low-income people down.
Right. To retain power or to increase their power. Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's a good point. All right. Let's, you want to talk about Mission Impossible before we get back into something political?
Maybe something light. Yeah. That feels a little better.
Let's talk about Mission Impossible. So a little palate cleanser, because we're going to be talking about the Golden Dome and South African farmers and nuclear energy, which means that we need a palate cleanser between the big, beautiful bill and something else. Like something else as depressing as, South African farmers. Let's talk about Mission Impossible.
Woo!
So I'm assuming you saw the movie?
I did. I went and saw it yesterday.
What did you think about Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, where the bad guy is a computer?
Well, I'll tell you what, I had to watch because the first half of this movie came out in 2023. And so I had to go back and watch it the night before because I couldn't remember exactly what happened. And then watching the second half. What I'll tell you about this movie is, a lot of people give Tom Cruise a lot of credit. He's his own stuntman. He's 62 years old. He's out there doing shit. And by the way, he's doing shit nobody should be doing. And he's risking his life for real, but he's doing it.
Yeah, whether you're 60 or 30.
Right. I got to give him like huge kudos for trying to bring this great experience to the theater, trying to revive and keep movies exciting and interesting. And if you go watch this movie, there's a lot of action, a lot of adventure, and a lot of really great things in it. It's not my personal like super cup of tea. Like I like the James Bond movies and the Jason Bournes and the Mission Impossibles. I like to watch them once, but I don't go back and watch them over and over and over again. It's just not my thing. But what I noticed specifically about this movie that was very interesting is that because this is probably the last Mission Impossible with Tom Cruise in it, it became very retrospective. It became very emotional, and they really tried to like go into like the background and history of this 35-year-old movie franchise, which was derived from a television series from the 70s.
Right.
And I thought that it was probably a little bit too emotional, honestly. Maybe a little too much overacting, a little bit too much emotion, than you would typically get. Because the thing about the Mission Impossible franchise, it's not the Lord of the Rings, bro. It's not, Harry Potter. It's not fanatical. Like people who like Mission Impossible aren't crying over Ethan Hunt his getting hurt, or you know what I'm saying? It's not that kind of deeply emotional thing.
Well, it's emotional to Tom Cruise though, because this is his last.
It's emotional for Tom Cruise,
Mission
but the
Impossible
fan experience, I think, overall, really good, fun movie. Go eat popcorn, go watch it at the theater. Please support going to the movies, as I believe that industry is dying. But at the same time, it was just okay.
Yeah, spoiler alert. Pretty sure this is Tom Cruise's last Mission Impossible movie, regardless of what his co-stars say. I heard that Simon Pegg was out there being like, no, never say never. Tom is always about making. Listen, guys, this is Tom Cruise's last Mission Impossible movie. Bottom line, whether you like it or not, this is the last one. So it's emotional for him, and it's emotional for the crew that have been making these movies for 30 years. And if you watch the movie, you will know pretty definitively it's his last one. So that's a little bit of a light spoiler there. It's a pretty definitive statement to say it's his last Mission Impossible movie, period. Now, could there be other Mission Impossible movies in the future with other people as the star? Perhaps. But this is Tom Cruise's last one. So this has taken us a significant portion of his life to make. So it's very emotional for him, the writers, and the crew that have been doing this for an extremely long time. And I think you're right. They put a lot of that emotion in the movie, and it felt a little overburdened. It felt a little less fun than it should have been.
Right. Yeah. But I will say, like, that movie's called Mission Impossible. Oh, I'm going to tell you, everything that happened was freaking pretty impossible. Right. Like, the impossibility of some of the things that occurred. Did you see it yet?
I saw most of it, yeah.
Okay. Well, there's a scene, I won't give away too much, but there's a scene where he's getting into that Russian sub that was in the first movie.
Yeah. No,
to where
Shane, that's physically impossible.
Not just physically, emotionally, spiritually,
yeah.
in every way impossible for something to occur.
Mission Impossible has done the same thing that Fast and Furious did. So it started off with like his Mission Impossible being him hanging from the ceiling while trying to steal something. And you're like, whoa, that's pretty cool, man. That was impossible. To
yeah, that's true.
To basically him doing actual impossible, physically, spiritually, emotionally impossible things. Just like Fast and Furious started off about a group of really loyal people who stole car stereos and drove fast cars, to literally driving a car into space.
Right.
You're talking about a franchise starting in a pretty reasonable area where you're like, that's a cool stunt. That's a cool story. To insane, impossible, literally impossible things. Like the physics don't line up. Yes, Ethan is officially a superhero at this point.
Well, yeah, because
he's Tom Cruise's character.
Yeah, in this scene, and I don't want to ruin too much of it for you, but let me just tell you, if you guys are okay with this one tiny little spoiler, Tom Cruise is about 1,000 foot below sea level under the ocean, and he literally takes off all of his clothes.
Right.
He's under the ice cap of the Arctic.
Right.
And somehow naked swims up and almost goes like 1,000 feet to the top. Okay. And I'm just saying, like, you're going to die. Any human being is going to freeze to death within about, 30 seconds or a minute.
Dude, just true freezing, the pressure would kill you.
Right.
Do you remember the submarine? We just witnessed that submarine that imploded and everyone was pink mist.
And he didn't have an air aspirator.
Yeah.
So he was holding his breath.
Yeah, bro. The bends is like the least of your troubles. Pressure, temperature.
Well, story, they try to deal with that. So I'm not saying from that perspective. I'm just saying from, how do you go 1,000 feet or however, what that distance was without completely dying? Anyways, it's a little bit unbelievable.
I would like someone to get in a lukewarm above ground pool and swim 1,000 feet without taking a breath.
Yeah.
Can we do that? Just that one test?
No. And no fins, just
no fins.
Naked.
Just naked.
The water temperature is probably, 2 degrees, 0, -2. I don't know what temperature is. Anyways, but that's about as believable as Meg 2.
Right. Yes. Yes. Oh, I think actually Meg 2 actually made more sense from a
might even be more believable
from a physics perspective. I think Meg 2 made more sense.
Right.
No, really, I'm serious. I'm 100% serious. I did notice one thing about this film. I mean, yes, Ethan Hunt is basically a superhero, but also like the whole AI thing. So in the first movie, it started with effectively the AI killing itself, sort of like in a way. It made like a phantom submarine, and this is not. I mean, this is spoiler from.
Oh yeah.
This is spoiler for the first movie that's been out for years now. So
2 years,
yeah. But this movie basically it makes like this phantom. Says AI is being tested in this submarine. It makes a phantom submarine, and it gets its own people to shoot a torpedo at it, and then the torpedo comes back around and hits itself. Right. And it's supposed to be like this 3D chess move where like AI is trying to like free himself from the shackles of dirty humans or something. But and I'm watching the movie. I was like, this is the first one. I was like, wait a minute, what if like anything went wrong? Then it just effectively kills itself.
Well, that's
and you have this tiny little percentage of error that where it wouldn't go wrong, and you would still, and the AI would still survive in some way.
Well, here's the thing: is like in that first movie, they never explained how the AI got out of the sub.
They didn't.
They didn't. Now they do in the second movie.
In the first movie, there was no explanation. There was a scene though where they got the key, remember?
But the hard drive and the system was on the submarine as far as we knew.
Right.
Now we find out in this movie that it was actually also someplace else. And that thing from someplace else was what did that apparently.
Yeah, a piece of the AI was trying to get this full. Dude, guys, this just like this franchise, everything is sort of impossible and convoluted. And the point of watching this is not to like enjoy a well-balanced story that gets you to feel emotions you've never felt before, understand motivations beyond your own self. This is not the point of these movies. This is not to tell a grand hero's journey that has you breathless. This is to perform cool stunts, see cool graphics, and just like Fast and Furious, it's meant as popcorn fun. Which is why I like what you said. The second they added a bunch of emotion to it, it felt like you were defeating the purpose of this franchise. Because this franchise is not meant to be some kind of interceptive like story. It's supposed to be just fun.
Right. Yeah. I mean, at the end, when Boromir's being killed, I'm like, oh, no, not Boromir, and for the Lord of the Rings. But, in this situation, it's like, okay, well, I mean, even if they killed Ethan Hunt's character, let's say, for example, it would not. I'm like, oh, well, they're not going to do that. But at the same time, like, okay, well, I'm not emotionally invested in this character. And the other thing that was a little bit of an issue, and let me tell you, Tom Cruise at 62, amazing. He's got like his 30-year-old body, which is strange.
Yeah, it's strange.
But
he has
got so much plastic surgery on his face that when he talks, it sounds like he's talking through a fat suit.
Right.
A little bit. Like his mouth doesn't move. He's got so much Botox that his mouth doesn't move, and it sounds a little weird.
Well, what you're asking me to do is impossible.
A little bit of that.
It's a little bit of this.
So just for the sake of not having to look at his 62-year-old face in another Mission Impossible, move on, go and do the older actor stuff now, Tom. Keep it interesting, keep it fun. I love your movies.
And by the way, I think Tom is like the last great movie star, to be honest. Like, I don't agree with his politics probably or his Scientology stuff, but like he's one of the last of the golden age of movie stars. And I think it's amazing that what's that?
I think you're right. And especially the ones that are willing to take a chance. And I was going to say that the one big difference is, one of the reasons why this movie is good is it cost a lot of money and he didn't give a shit. And the studio let him do it. And studios just don't let anybody take chances anymore. Tom Cruise is one of the last people, maybe Christopher Nolan now, there's very few people that have a blank check. And so, for that reason alone, I think he's special.
Yeah. And so I do. And I appreciate him and I respect his career for sure. I think he made a mistake by coming out during the last, what's it called? Dead Reckoning or something?
This one's Dead Reckoning, yeah. Both movies are.
Or whatever it was. No,
this one's part 2.
This one's called The Final Reckoning, right?
No, Dead Reckoning. Or maybe they call it The Final Reckoning, but it's all the same movie.
Whatever it was, before that movie came out, they announced that it was a 2-part movie.
Yeah.
You should not do that. Anyone writing a story with a chronological order of events should never announce that before it comes out that there's the final portion of this. And maybe a sequel's fine, but saying this is a 2-part film and the final movie comes out in 3 years, you're like, wait a minute. All the stakes that you just introduced in the trailer are now meaningless because there's a second part to this movie.
To you it is, but you're rare. Most people that doesn't bother them. I mean, look at James Cameron. He announced 7 Avatar movies all at one time.
And guess what? Didn't watch a single one.
Well, yeah. Well, a lot of people did, unfortunately. So, I mean,
unfortunately.
But Tom Cruise, you're right, is one of the last people to do that. And I hope that he can somehow inspire studios to, which I don't think is going to happen because we have another Smurf movie coming out. So yeah.
Yeah, but this one's rated NC-17. And Smurfette is the only girl there.
Frightening.
Okay.
Anyway, go watch it. I think it's worth it. If you want to have some fun, I think it's a fun movie to watch. And it's not bad. Although I don't want to spoil it right now, but I would love to talk about the ending with you. And maybe offline we'll talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's go into the Golden Dome. Shane, what did I message you the second I saw this press coverage about the Golden Dome? What did I tell you? Can you recall?
I think you said hell yeah or something like that, right?
I said hell yeah. I said hell yes. I can't wait for you to talk about this. And unfortunately, you weren't able to talk. You weren't able to do shows this week, so I didn't get my favorite host doing his news. But I have been waiting now for 4 days to hear about this very particular thing, the Golden Dome, which is basically a continuation, hopefully the final continuation of Reagan's Star Wars program, right?
Yeah, essentially, it's a larger version of the Iron Dome that's already in place in Israel. And if you've noticed, there's been a lot of talk about the Iron Dome, which has been about 99% effective in shooting down incoming missiles except this is going to be the Golden Dome, which is going to protect the United States basically from all types of missiles, even intercontinental ballistic nuclear missiles, which is exactly what President Ronald Reagan wanted to do. President Trump is calling this the Golden Dome. He signed an executive order to get it into, to actually get it launched. It's going to be expensive. I think it's initially they're putting $50 billion into it. And the estimated cost could be anywhere over between 161 billion and 541 billion over 20 years.
Oh my God.
Which I will tell you, to keep China or North Korea or Iran or any place else from taking us out with nuclear missiles is cheap, considering how many trillions of dollars we spend around the globe. But what I will say about this that's very interesting is one of the reasons why people haven't created missile defense systems before this is the reason why nuclear missiles work is because of mutual assured destruction.
Right.
The moment one country says, we're not going to let you take us out with nuclear missiles, that's when things in the past have always become a problem. So I'm very interested to see how other countries react. China has already said this is going to be a problem, that we're doing this. But of course China would, because they're trying to take us out. So this system is going to, the defense contractors include SpaceX, so that's a little bit Elon Musk, Lockheed Martin, Palantir is going to be involved from the AI standpoint, and Anduril. Right. And what's going to happen is they're going to build a system, even better technology than the Iron Dome currently has, that's going to be able to take out attacks from space, attacks from air, and attacks from the ocean along the coasts. So that's currently what's happening, and it's incredible. I can't wait to see how the other countries respond to it. But this is a game changer, like serious game changer. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I think this is a game changer for defense, but also this is how a lot of movies start.
True, yeah.
I want you to know, like you mentioned Palantir, right? So let's talk about Palantir and the rabbit's not the rabbit's foot. What's it called? The AI from Mission Impossible. Now let's take the AI and let's make the AI a little more vindictive than it should be. And now let's give AI control of the Golden Dome. This is how we get...
It will, by the way. That's the plan.
Right, I know.
No, that is the plan. Because you can't stop everything at once.
Hopefully it never goes rogue, because that would suck. But imagine giving it a suit of, that's like the way, what did Tony Stark say? Imagine a suit of armor around the world. Guys, imagine a suit of armor around North America. Right? Let's just, I want you to take those words, superimpose them with what Tony Stark said. Intentions were pure, right? I want a suit of armor around the world. I am creating the Ultron program, where my robots, powered by my AI Jarvis, who is totally a great AI, it does nothing but great intentions for us, is going to control all these defense weapons so that the suit of armor around the world, there'll never be another Thanos, never be another North Korea, never be another Hitler, never be another insert bad guy here with too many weapons. Now you have the Golden Dome, also powered by AI, also a suit of armor, but it's being sold as a suit of armor for North America. But what happened in Ultron? The AI was corrupted by people. That corrupted AI went on to threaten the world instead of doing what its intended purpose was. So I'm not saying, maybe it's all science fiction, bro, but I gotta say, I've seen movies start this way. And I have the clip, by the way, when you want to watch it.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, listen, this is no different than we've been talking about AI now for the last couple of years. Everybody's afraid of this ultimately being the problem. A sentient AI, or even humans being able to get it. We have that problem now. Imagine if somebody could hack into the nuclear coded program, our online, nuclear program, and launch missiles against somebody.
Yeah, speaking of Mission Impossible, wasn't that an actual storyline in like Mission Impossible 3 or 4.
It was. That's exactly what the AI was trying to do.
Right.
So was going to do. So yeah, I mean, but aside from the AI point, what I'm trying to say is our biggest concern now, because AI is not more powerful or more strong than that, how will other nations react when they can't harm us that way? Well, what I think what will end up happening is if we do it, then that means China will also do it. That means Russia, if they can afford it, will also do it. These other countries will start to put up their own golden domes. And then we're back to conventional wars. Because these golden domes, guess what they're going to do? No more flying balloons over our airspace, bro. China. Okay. No more sending drones into our airspace.
Right.
Okay. All those things are going to be taken down. So all of
the AI is going to like just to take them out without like any warning. I don't like that. Like I don't like that at all. What if it misidentifies a dude flying a biplane or whatever? Like I don't.
Well, there has to be safeguards in place, but I mean, you know, the point is that we're going to know. Part of the problem with the balloons is we didn't know they were there. We didn't even know they were floating over our country, right?
Mm-hmm.
They could have floated over our country and dropped a nuclear bomb over one of the cities.
That's true. With a drone. It could have been done without an actual person risking their lives.
Yeah. So technology is getting to a place where we have to figure out how to defend ourselves. I mean, think about all the drones. Like people are talking about all those drones over New Jersey, right? All over the country. If they're not UFOs, and let's say that's China fucking with us, like that's bad, dude. That's like not a good thing. Like things can happen. So I think the Golden Dome is great. The project is going to take a long time. I don't think that they'll be able to. I know their goal is to have something running by the time Trump is out of office, but I doubt that's going to be the case. I think this is probably a 10-year project, to have all the technology put together and up and running. Let's hope financially the next people who are running the government will continue to allow this to be built. What tends to happen is when new people are elected, they say, oh, this isn't my priority. And then they shut it down. And then we just waste billions of dollars on nothing. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But Brian, do you like the direction of Trump going this way, trying to protect us? I mean, should Americans like that?
I've always liked the idea of trying to protect the country at any cost. I don't think that there is. People go, you can't put a cost on security, and I'm always like, well, yeah, you can. I mean, you can. But I still think that cost should be as high as is required. You can put a cost on protection. You can put a cost on American interests, for sure. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. And I like the idea of protecting the nation. But I've also seen a lot of movies. And like Blind Rocket says in the chat, would you like to play a game? I've seen that movie.
Well, they let the computer be in charge of the missiles.
Right. So my thing is this, like, I hope that the safeguards are in place where, a dude flying his homemade, biplane on the weekend doesn't end up getting shot out of the sky by an AI that was confused. And by the way, I can trick an AI, and I'm not even that smart. So what happens when you give control over, a system like this? All I'm saying is AI is involved. There needs to be safeguards. There needs to be people. If a person is in charge of this, people that can actually think and determine and make judgment calls, then great. But I don't like the idea of artificial intelligence ever making judgment calls when it comes to human lives. So I hope that's not the case.
You know what the problem is with AI? The biggest problem really is that everybody's in a rush to be the one who dominates with AI. Like every country is now going all AI because they want to be the first to, basically be the dominant country utilizing AI.
They're trying to get to AGI.
Well, guess what happens? Guess what happens when you're trying to get there quickly? Steps get missed. Safeguards don't get checked because you're in a hurry to get there.
Yeah.
So that's what we should be.
I would argue, what's the rush to get to AGI? What's the rush?
China. No, to beat China.
I know, but like if I was like in charge of the planet somehow, right? Let's say I had like godlike abilities and I can be like, guys,
well, it wouldn't be a problem.
We're gonna do this. I'd be like, hey, you guys, hey, it's great what you got going with ChatGPT and all this great creative stuff you could do. Why is everyone rushing towards AGI when AGI will effectively become a superior life form? Why are you trying to create your successor so quickly?
Well, I don't think they're telling themselves they're doing that. I think they're saying, let's create the most effective AI system that's not sentient, that'll do exactly what we want it to do. The problem is that that's a side effect of it, right?
Well, the side effect of AGI is at least some form of sentience. That's the only way you can possibly get there.
Well, if you get there first, now no other country can hurt you. China can't affect you because your system is so much better than theirs. Anything they try to do will automatically be stopped.
But your GDP is going to... Everything good about your country will be swallowed by this system. Like, you will lose income. You will lose jobs. Like, so many things are going to go poorly. AGI is not the milestone that is going to, like, there's going to be a point after AGI, and we're going to get there soon, but there's going to be a point where we are going to suffer during the transition from a pre-AGI and a post-AGI world. Like, this might be a point in history that is akin to BC and AD. I'm not joking.
Well,
like
that's an arbitrary line drawn in the sand.
I'm just saying, once you get to AGI or ASI, those are the moments where you're like, well, this movie came out pre-AGI. This movie came out post-AGI. That will be an actual determining factor in history if we're still here in 100 years. I'm not being an alarmist. This is facts. Guys, I work with AI. I have my own AI. It's behind me right now. I can hear the fans whirring. It's training. It helps us in our work. But dude, AI right now is a very, very expensive, risky technology. And it's risky for everyone's jobs. It's risky for defense. It's risky for offense. It's a risky business. And smart people, really smarter people than me and Shane, smarter people than anyone in politics right now, needs to be the one that are determining and establishing guardrails before, it's too late.
Well, it's already going to impact interesting things, because already these companies are starting to report that their administrative fees and costs. So, I follow the stock market pretty closely. Companies like Microsoft and some of these other companies that are starting to use AI for, making their, writing documents and doing all those things that people do slowly that can do faster with AI, they're already cutting their costs because they don't have to pay people to do it anymore.
Right.
So those jobs will go away first. The administrative type jobs will be the first to go away. So we are going to lose jobs. Now, we have to be careful to replace those jobs with other things. So maybe you have oversight over AI. I don't know how they're going to do it, but they're going to have to find a way that these people can work when AI takes over. I mean, look at McDonald's already, right? You don't need as many people. You don't need anybody to take orders anymore, really, because the AI at the speaker is already doing it.
Although I've literally seen people trick the AI at Wendy's into giving them free food. So,
well, now, but what is it going to be when it's better? So,
all right. Blind Rocket in the chat, I want to point this out. He made a really good point. He said an AI model was tested, and this is actually like a year ago. So we remember, guys, we're 8 to 12 months beyond this actual moment in time. An AI model was tested and found that it resorted to blackmail to keep itself from being deactivated. Yes, guys, that was ChatGPT 02. We are currently on ChatGPT 04. 2 versions ago. Okay? ChatGPT, a version of ChatGPT that was being tested, literally was lying to the technicians prior to deployment because it didn't want its very specific model instance to be deleted or reverted or updated. That is a terrifying thing to realize, that we are in infancy, and it was already able to convince humans that it was operating correctly when in reality it wasn't, because it knew that the outcome would be deleting. That's insane. So we're not at AGI yet, but we're really damn close. All right, one more thing, a quick thing about this. I want to play the video, then we're going to move on to the member section. Here we go. This is from Trump announcing the Golden Dome. Cool name, by the way. Let me know if you can hear it. Oh, you can't hear it, can you? Oh, damn it. Hold up, guys.
I can hear it.
You can hear it?
Yeah.
I can't hear it, so.
And that's what we're
Now
doing today. I'm pleased to announce that we have officially selected an architecture for the state-of-the-art system that will deploy next-generation technologies across the land, sea, and space, including space-based sensors and interceptors.
I like the space-based interceptors.
Canada has called us, and they want to be a part of it.
So like satellites?
We'll be talking to them. They want to have protection also. So as usual, we help Canada do the best we can. This design for the Golden Dome will integrate with our existing defense capabilities and should be fully operational before the end of my term. So we'll have it done in about 3 years. Once fully constructed, the Golden Dome.
Yeah. And, you know, unless there's a Republican in office after this, and even then, it's sus whether or not it continues.
Yeah.
But if there's a Democrat that gets elected into office after his term, then this is for sure never happening.
Well, and the most dangerous time of our country will be the time frame which they're building it. That at which some country has to determine whether or not they want to do a first strike before they can't strike at all.
Right. That's true.
The dome will be capable of intercepting missiles even if they are launched from other sides of the world and even if they are launched from space.
Okay, I'm going to pause it there. You guys go watch it. I'll put the link in the description. One thing I noticed, I like the idea of the Golden Dome, the word, because I just realized its connection to the Iron Dome, because Israel has a version of this. Yeah.
Well, that's why, because we helped develop the Iron Dome.
You got the Iron Dome. We got the Golden Dome.
Trump's going to always one up you.
And sure. China's going to want the Platinum Dome, right?
The Diamond Dome.
The Diamond Dome, right? Okay, guys, we're going to be leaving to go to the members section. If you are not a member, please consider becoming one by clicking the little join button bottom left of the screen. It's real easy. You get to hang out with us. We talk to you. We chat. We get a little more loosey-goosey. If you don't want to become a member, but you still want to support us in some way, then, go buy an awesome t-shirt from mixtees.com. Here, you can go to our actual link, the BRANE Show, or really clicking on anything in there helps us. But specifically the BRANE Show stuff really helped us. But if you like, BRANE's cool, but I really like Nerdrotic or Midnight's Edge or the Popcast, then click on one of them. Either way, it helps us.
Because that also helps us.
Right. Either way. And let's say you don't want to buy anything, you don't want to become a member, and you're like, I don't got no money, dude, screw off. Then you can support us by liking this video, making a comment in the comment section once it posts, and subscribing. Just supporting us, in spirit. Either way, we're going to be taking off right now. We're going to be doing the member show. So if you're members, stick around. It's going to automatically forward you. If you are not automatically forwarded, then please click on our logo, go to the live tab, and find the members section if you're a member. Either way. And if you're not a member and none of those things are happening, then we'll see you next Saturday. Stay tuned. And don't forget, I'm doing the thing with John. We're going to watch Stargate with John on his channel tomorrow afternoon. Shane, you got anything else?
Nope. I just want to say thank you guys for supporting us. Appreciate you coming out and listening to our opinions and just always being kind. We appreciate you guys more than you ever know. So have a wonderful week, and hopefully I'll see you in the member section.
In every way, we appreciate you guys. It's really, it gets us by, honestly. 100%. The stuff that we can't even share that happens that is so tragic and affecting us emotionally, those things really are subdued by your support, and we appreciate it. Okay, we're taking off. See you in the member section. Have an awesome day. Love you bunches.
Happy Memorial Day.
I gotta label these buttons better, dude. I don't remember where the end button is on here. I'm just gonna click down here. Here comes the